Om Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Bande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome our first class on Mandukya, Karika. Page 2. Mark, can you close your mic, please?
Oh, sorry.
So we go page 2, introduction. In our tradition, the primary scriptures are called Veda, and the Vedas are known as Shruti. All other scriptures based on the Veda developed by the rishis later are secondary scriptures, including Puranas and epics, and they are called Smriti. I'm having tried to say to us, Lynn, you are
Smriti.
Shrimit, something like that.
Smriti. It's not easy.
So we have the primary scriptures and we have the secondary scriptures. The primary scripture is the source of all spiritual knowledge. So it's the knowledge that comes down from Ishwara or howsoever, or from consciousness itself manifests as Ishwara. Seeing the situation about the Jiva Atma, say, so I have to reveal this knowledge to help them out, otherwise they are never going to get out of this dense forest of the samsara. So, and then some individuals which are very, very contemplative in nature, they were mature and they were asking the most fundamental existential questions to the human experience, which is, what am I? Who am I? What is the purpose of my birth? So what is afterwards? After, is there another experience? Is there a future birth? So all those questions can only come for people with very introspective minds, contemplative minds, okay? And it's easy to understand the way by which this knowledge came down to those rishis, those profound meditators, contemplative, people. So the whole universe is structured by laws and principles. So we have our sense organs direct to the exterior, and we try to figure out the laws and principles that rule or sustain this manifestation. But some people, they introspect, they are so much contemplative, wanting to know profound answers to the profound questions, okay, not only scientific knowledge. So they start asking different sort of questions. In the same way, the whole universe is structured by laws and principles that we can tap into by exploring the scientific field of knowledge, objective knowledge. So this universe is also ruled by spiritual principles and laws. So when certain minds start asking questions in regards to those principles and laws which are spiritual by nature, religious, spiritual, religious, my relationship, is there a creator to this creation? And what am I doing here as a creature? So these questions, they have a nature of religious, spiritual questions. And of course, there are answers for that, but it's not scientific answers, although science nowadays wants to masquerade as spirituality here and there, trying to find the God particle and whatnot. So those questions are religious, spiritual questions by nature, and they require answers which are laws and principles in the spiritual realm. So there's no difference. So therefore, the same way we tap into answers to the material energetic nature of this manifestation in the field of scientific research. So we also have access to this knowledge that we can tap into, questioning the true nature and purpose of this manifestation beyond the material world. So, and that's what happens with the rich. They ask and they receive those answers. And they receive in such a manner that they know that they did not make it up, okay? It was something that was delivered to them. It was heard. It was seen by them. The heard wisdom, the revealed wisdom is the wisdom that does not come from human beings, but it comes for the human beings. And due to what? Great merit to the rishis, the ones who ask those most fundamental questions. So we have the most, the basic scriptures, the primary scripture, as it says here, the most fundamental, what's the name, the word used here? Primary scriptures and secondary scriptures. So another concept, another touch in this subject. So what is a primary? Is the one, those knowledge, those scriptural knowledge that were revealed to the rishis, But then there are some other knowledge which was written by human beings based on the revelations to the rishis, okay? And those include several other scriptures, Vedantic scriptures, such as the Puranas and such as the modern scriptures or Vedantic manuals written by people such as Shankaracharya and Vidyaranya Acharya and so many others, So some were revealed to human beings and other was commentaries from human beings based on the direct revelations coming directly from the Shrutis, the heard wisdom, okay? So Veda is very vast, and most of it was lost in time. It's said that Samaveda had thousand branches, out of which only 2 branches are available nowadays. Similarly, in Ayurveda, etc., and all the other Vedas, many other Vedas, totally 1,108 branches were there, out of which not even 100 are available now of the Vedas. So most of it was lost. These Veda mantras are broadly classified in 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda. In Rig Veda, this is interesting. In Rig Veda, the mantras are poetically formed. Ayurveda, it's formed in prose. Samaveda, the mantras are structured in a musical form. And Atharvana Veda, those mantras are given by the rish named Atharva. The name Atharva is introduced in the first mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad, which could be another text that we could explore, because I read the book on Mandukya when I was in my last trip, and one of my trips in Tiruvannamalai, and it was book based on the commentaries of Swami Dayananda on Mandukya Upanishad. So these are the 4 Vedas, and each one of them has 2 sessions, Veda Purva and Veda Anta. Yeah? So the Veda Purva is the initial part, and Veda Anta, the end part. The Veda Purva, as we know, refers to different kinds of things or actions or sadhanas one can do to produce a result, and the result is some gain, and the gain may be merely security and satisfaction, pleasure, punya, but can be also betterment or dharma, improvement of the body-mind condition, which is part of the development of qualifications that takes us to the last aspect of the Vedanta, which is the search for moksha. So among those karmas existing rituals and meditations, mantra repetitions, whereas the Vedanta is focused only on reflection, contemplation, study, and knowledge. Veda Purva gives the benefit by doing things and getting the results, which is for a karma yoga at least, which is improvement or degree of refinement and purification of the mind. Vedanta gives the benefit by knowledge, jnana. Therefore, Vedanta is called jnana yoga session, knowledge section. In all the 4 Vedas, karma section and jnana section are found. So I want to mention something in regards to knowledge section. Okay, there are 2 kinds of knowledge. Generally speaking, in Vedanta or in the Upanishads, when we talk about jnana, we talk about Atma jnana, self-knowledge. But karma, dharma, karma yoga is still knowledge-based scripture, okay? But the knowledge is not about the Atma, it's the knowledge in regards to Ishvara, okay? So it's still knowledge-based, but it's not self-knowledge, is Ishvara knowledge, which is fundamental so that we can get to the investigation to the nature of the Atma. So in all these 4 Vedas, we have these 2 sections on actions that produce results. The results are invariably experience, a better experience about myself, a better experience in regards to the world, and a better mind. And the other session is jnana. And what is the result of jnana? It's not an experience, but it is knowledge. So this is also very important. Veda expects every follower of Veda to start with karma yoga, karma session, action session, which includes dharma and upasana. So the Veda aspect, the karma aspect of the Vedas is referred to as a religious way of life. Why religious? Because it's you start observing that there is contemplating, and contemplating based on these scriptures, Vedic scriptures, that there is a creator, and you begin to understand your relationship with the creator and the laws and principles that sustains this universe, the so-called dharma. And then one begins with the karma session, which is a religion's way of life. Jnana section does not necessarily deal with the religious way because it must ultimately transcend the notion that the triangular format of I, Jiva, Ishvara, Jagata, and the individual goes into the binary format in which it sees I am Satya, I am Brahman, and the world is Mithya. So when we say I am Brahman, I am Paramarthananda, I'm saying I am the spirit of Ishvara, the essence, the essential nature of Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagata. I'm the only reality. And then we are effectively, literally entering into the realms of spiritual life. Spiritual life is not really religious life. A lot of religious people are not spiritual people. Yeah? But spiritual people must have been religious people. That's why it's recommended that you still live in observance of Dharma, in reverence to the Creator. So you still carry on your religious attitude that makes us, what I often put is a religious, spiritual human being. You understand? So we are not only spiritual beings, we are religious spiritual beings, because in order to go into spirituality, I need to develop this attitude, this spirit, this religious spirit, which depends on the understanding of the Creator and its laws and principles. Without religious life, spirituality does not work. Yeah, in different words, he puts it again. Without spirituality, religious life is incomplete. Now, a lot of people stop as a religious person. They want punya, they want improvement, betterment, and they want punya beyond the mundane material punya, such as security and pleasures. They want also spiritual punya, as a good devotee of Ishvara, he will be reserved a huge bank account with religious punya that will provide him with a beautiful celestial loka and not whatnot. But all of that is exhausted, and the person has to come back to accumulate another saving account. So what are those saving accounts? So I want to do actions that produce good results, yeah, and I'm a religious person, because when I leave the body, I want to meet Ishvara or Brahman in Brahmaloka. The activities in the action section are divided in three kinds. So this is also nice. We know that actions can be physical, verbal, and mental. So the physical actions, which usually involves a lot of rituals and in which the person is very active, is the most gross, the most dense, okay? And involves physical activity. And those serve the purpose of breaking, that block of tamoguna that makes a person procrastinate, a lazy person, so the Veda designs all those physically active things to break the first obstacle in one's spiritual development, okay, tamoguna. So then from the physical activities, we move into, which involves pilgrimage. I met people there in Tiruvannamalai that used to go there 6 months to a year just to go around the mountain, and barefoot. And because he says, Jesus is my life, Jesus is my sadhana, and I'm getting so much from it. Yes, understandable. So mental activity can be mental chanting, mental japas, so mental pujas as well, mental repetitions of mantras. Mental activities associated with Ishvara is called upasana. So when you go into mental activities, when you start contemplating the nature of the creator, and then you enter in the field of Upasana Yoga, according to our Vedantic scriptures, because you are contemplating or meditating on the creator. And that is the best possible action, as far as religious actions, mental actions of meditation, contemplation, on the nature of the creator and the creation as well. All these activities produce certain benefits as promised by the Vedas. The benefits are broadly classified in 3 types: Artha, Kama, and Dharma. So you do things to get security and then entertainment and pleasures, and then to become a religious person and a better person in the pursuit of observance of Dharma. Artha is all forms of wealth that will give security, a sense of security: land, house, money, relationships. Once this is secured, one looks for pleasures. So I have got everything. I'm relatively secure. Now I want to enjoy the world. I worked 20, 30, 40 years. Now I want to travel around the world, seeing places and situations, I want to go through my list of desires and enjoy myself. So security comes first, and then Kama, the desire for entertainment, comes second. Gives pleasure, entertainment, and relaxation. There are many rituals for the fulfillment of this Kama desire, this desire for pleasures. And then next, the religious person begins seeking for Dharma, which is merit. And merit can also be material, but when you move into Dharma, so you want spiritual, not really spiritual, religious merits, not to make a confusion with the words here. Kama and Artha are used only in this verse. So whatsoever you produce in the search for the security and entertainment and pleasures, you exhaust in one life. You don't carry to the next life. But the pursuit of Dharma, which is personal development, is carried on from birth to birth. That is the good news. Most people only do the search for Artha Kama, and then they enjoy the fruits in this life, and it is not carried over to the next birth. So, but our stage of development is definitely carried from birth to birth. And what about moksha? Moksha is not carried from birth to birth, because moksha is the end of the birth, of rebirth. So we have the facts of all results based on actions or in the pursuit of Artha, Kama, and even Dharma. All these 3 sources or 3 stages or 3 types or kinds of pursuits, human pursuits, have some limitations and defects, as we know. And by the way, there is the Upanishad Mandukya that is mostly focused on presenting the defects of all these pursuits, so that the person may develop this passion towards those desires. All these results, however, all the Dharma, Artha, Kama results have 3 intrinsic defects. The defects are all pleasures are mixed up with pain in their acquisition, maintenance, and loss. So to go and get what I want, it takes a a lot of effort, and effort usually is experienced as painful, you know. You have to compete, you have to work hard to get what you want, and in the process, your mind is affected by that very desire. So searching for it, try to acquire it is painful. And then once we get it, immediately comes into our mind how I'm going to keep it, you know. So I got the love of my life, but now, so, you know, I may lose that person to somebody else, for example, you know. So, and then if you really lose your most beloved one to somebody else, and then the pain is really big, you know. The pain of loss is even more dramatic than the pain of trying to keep it and the pain of trying to acquire it. In the Gita, Lord Krishna says, having joined that vast heavenly world, all seekers of Artha Kama Dhamma have to come back to the world of mortals when their punya is exhausted. So how about that huge defect? Huh? Huge defect. Thus, the seekers of sense pleasures who have taken to rituals of the Veda attain only the arrival and departure. Everything that's gained is lost, in other words. So the second effect is that all this pleasure are finite by nature. Karma, actions are finite. You cannot produce an infinite result considering your actions are finite and limited. So there is no amount of limited actions that produce what you are looking for, which is a sense of infinite limitlessness. Karma is finite. The karma benefit can only be finite, and finite does not produce real satisfaction. Produces what? Discontentment. There is no way. So I think we all understood that actions is not going to deliver this happiness that we all want to find, this contentment. And then the third the fact is that everything that you gain produces attachment and dependence. So at the beginning you enjoy your gain, but then later on attachment develops, and then we see attachment dependence, and then you become addicted to those things and those people, and then when you see you are suffering the disease of samsara big time, mental disturbance. And then here's a very nice insight: the instinct desire of every human being, including animals, not human beings, is independence. Nobody appreciates dependence, but everybody is searching for dependence. This is a big contradiction. Intrinsic desire of everybody is be free, independent, because this is our nature. So unconsciously, that's what we are looking, but unknowingly, and in contradiction to our instinctive desire, we search for dependence because we get attached to people, things, and circumstances. And then we suffer this human problem, because we are working against our instinctive desire. You know, my spirit is free and independent. I just want to reestablish my very nature and enjoy, you know, appreciate and enjoy my nature as completion and limitation, independence. So I'm doing work against what I'm really searching for instinctively, but unconsciously. Thus we become attached to people, place, things, and we go from dependence to greater dependence in the course of our lives. Modern life nowadays increase dependence. So we have a clear picture, a clear vision of the problem of action and its results. Not per se, because we are designed to act in accordance, as a good response to the stimulus coming from the field. But any action that aims to gain happiness or fullness or freedom or independence, is going to only create the opposite, more and more dependence in the course of our lives. Veda, the triad of actions. So the first time that I see Swami present the concept of the triad in reference to the three kinds of actions, physical, verbal, and mental. And the physical, verbal, and mental actions produce three kinds of results, artha, kama, and dharma. And the triad of defects, which is pleasure mixed up with sorrow, discontentment, and dependence, are seen beautifully structured, presented. The triad of actions, the triad of the results of actions, and the triad of the defects inherent to those three kinds of actions. We have to discover these three defects by ourselves. In Mandukya, it is shown how to discover the limited nature of all our human pursuits. Very important subject, very fundamental. Examining the experience gained by doing actions and examining the experience gained by upasana or meditation, may the discriminative person discover this passion. It's a passage on the Gita, chapter 1. I don't know. No, this is Mandukya maybe. Examining the experience gained by doing actions and by doing meditations, may the discriminative person come to this passion, moksha, which is not created, but it must be realized, can only be realized by always ever present, cannot be gained through any sort of action, mental, physical, verbal, and mental. Therefore, to gain this knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, he must go with sacrificial twigs in hand and with humility to a teacher who is well versed in the scriptures and who has clear knowledge of Aham Brahmasmi. I think it refers to a passage in the Mandukya. Therefore, an intelligent seeker should go through religious life and discover these three defects. Oh, beautifully, huh? You cannot just jump over those three human pursuits without discovering the defects and limitations inherent to all those three kinds of actions. Maturity comes by walking the talk. Discovery of these defects is equal to development of dispassion, vairagya. Worldly ends are wonderful, but they are limited, and we are looking for something unlimited. Most human beings never recognize these defects. Only a few intelligent people want to go beyond the world ends. Pursuits, as Krishna says in the Gita, among thousands of human beings, a rare one strives for moksha or liberation, because a rare individual will understand the defects of all human pursuits of Artha, Kama, Dharma. Even among those seekers who strive for moksha, a rare one knows me in reality. So I understood I'm searching for moksha, but somehow, for some reason, I'm not fully convinced. My earnestness is not that solid and profound. I remain a little bit divided. Therefore, I need to wait for another birth. Even among those seekers of moksha, a rare one knows Aham Brahmasmi. The seekers want to know if there is something that is free from these three defects. The action section of the Veda can provide only results with the facts. But a mature individual wants a defect-free solution. Any questions? Any considerations?
I was just thinking he's talking about the rare one knows me in reality. And seems that to move from Shravana, from listening and gaining the understanding, the real work is in Manana, to go from knowledge to really being convinced.
Yeah. And Manana is going to give intellectual firm conviction.
Yeah.
And Yasana is going to give the directly aparoksha jnana. Yeah. So we are interested in a defect-free solution. If the person is mature and sincere, Veda says that there is actually a defect-free solution. Even in the Gita, Krishna Guru refers to that, saying, here itself, birth is overcome by those whose mind is established in sameness, the non-dual vision of reality, or the perspective of total dispassion towards the diversity that the world presents to attract Jivatmas. Here itself, in this life, not afterlife, birth can be overcome by those whose mind is established in this Vedantic vision. Brahman is indeed the same and it's defectless. Therefore, they are established in Brahman as Brahman. So here's Lord Krishna presents in the chapter 5, which is the chapter that I'm going to see this verse coming the next weekend with my Brazilian Sangha. It presents the nature, the defect nature of all three pursuits, Artha, Kama, Dhamma. There is something that's free from all these three defects, and this is called Satchitananda Brahman, and that is equal to moksha, because the nature of Brahman is limitlessness and independence. In Kathopanishad, the three defect pursuits put together were called priyas, and moksha is called shriyas. This is I did this text one time, and I remember these two different words, priyas and shriyas. We look for priyas until we are done, and when we search for shriyas. Shriyas and priyas approach the human being, having very clearly considered them. The discriminative person distinguishes them. Indeed, the discriminated person choose the limitless pursuit, which is freedom, rather than priyas pursuits, which produce dependence and is defect by nature. The indiscriminated person seeks or choose priyas for the sake of acquisition and preservation. So the action session of the Veda is not relevant for the pursuit of moksha, priyas. Vedanta becomes relevant, and then Vedanta knowledge session when asked for moksha. And Vedanta gives a shocking statement. Vedanta says that there is Brahman, and Brahman is defectless and freedom and independence. It's free from defects. But, and then Vedanta says, but don't try to look for Brahman, because Brahman is not other than yourself. And just search for understanding the statement Tattvamasi. You are that Brahman. You are that Paramatma. That Brahman you are. Brahma Tattvamasi. We have missed to look at ourselves, even though Vedanta declares that we will not easily accept those final declarations, Upanishadic declaration. Because the notions and ideas we have about ourselves are hardwired. They're very solid conclusions about my nature. Our conclusion is that, no, I am the body-mind jiva, and I suffer miserably. And then on a later stage, the person starts contemplating, says, okay, I am the jiva, and I'm suffering less. But I now accept that I am Paramatma as well. So I'm both. So there is an investment in both statements. One becomes a double agent, I'm invested in my jiva nature and my higher nature. So Vedanta says that I am the wonderful, free and independent Satchitananda. So this ignorance, I am the miserable jiva, it occurs over many lives. And it's very, very profoundly hardwired. And it produces the sickness of samsara, which is helplessness, anger, frustration, depression, among many other psychological, mental, emotional disturbance. Life then becomes a burden, burdensome, meaningless, boring. Life becomes a struggle, suffering. We feel we are miserable jivas, and we have a hard time to accept those statements of the Upanishad. But the Upanishad says the opposite. So which one is correct? So very rare individuals start making room for this investigation of the nature of these final declarations of the Vedas, and they move into self-inquiry. We must inquire. Thus begin self-inquiry as to whether I am a miserable jiva or I'm free and independent, wonderful Brahman. And Vedanta is just a means of knowledge that facilitates that inquiry. So people can do this inquiry without Vedanta, yes. And Vedanta is a very, very sophisticated and beautiful, complete, elegant, covering all aspects of this cosmic ignorance that defines us as the miserable, suffering jiva. But I don't need knowledge. I can just feel my Satchitananda nature and have a good experience of my Brahman nature. So an experience not necessarily translates itself as self-knowledge, as we know, and in fact rarely translates itself in self-knowledge, unless the inquiry, so in the light of those knowledge, is already established in the mind before that experience. So Swami begins the second class, and then he again begins presenting another introduction. It's about what we just have seen so far. The true nature, my inferior nature, my superior nature, my Brahman nature. I need to do self-inquiry, or Atma Vichara. And Vedanta says that more often than not, one needs a teacher, a guru. I need to make up my mind to know if the notions I have of myself are correct, or the Vedanta notions or declarations are correct. Which one is a fact? So for any kind of knowledge, we need a means of knowledge, we need a pramana. And for the knowledge in regards to the true nature of the self, we need a very specific pramana, or means of knowledge, and it's called Upanishads or Vedanta. Generally speaking, there are 6 pramanas. We often say that there are few different pramanas. Now, one of them is perception, the other is inference, or the testimonial of a person who relates to us a certain event. But in some passages, we have a more sophisticated and the profound explanation of different pramanas. In the Vedas, in Vedanta, we have these 6 pramanas: pratyaksha, which is direct perception, anumana, inference based on perception, arthapati, presumption based on data, which comes from perception, upamana, based on comparison, which are based on perception, and anupalabdhi, based in the absence, which is also based on perception. So, and then we have the last one is sabda, which is based on words. Okay, words. So out of these 6 pramanas, 5 are ruled out because they are all based on perception. And perception is not a pramana to know the Atma, because the Atma is not an object of knowledge. So any one of these pramanas based on perception, they serve the purpose of gaining knowledge of the world, objective, scientific knowledge. Therefore, all these 5 are ruled out for Atma Vichara. They are ruled out because all of them are based on data collection coming through the sense organs. And then Swami talks a little bit more about them. Even the Anupaladi, which is based on the absence of things, it's a negative kind of knowledge, but it's not meant for self-knowledge, because self-knowledge is not about the void, it's not about emptiness, but it's about something that is fully present at all times, and it's whole, full, and complete, as opposed to some notion that the Atma is the absence of everything or nothingness. So knowledge is the Atma. We are talking about the knowledge in respect to the Atma, the self, that which is never not present. So Anupalabdhi is also ruled out. So we end up only with Sabda Pramana, which are words spoken or words written. But This Sabda Pramana means of knowledge through words, they have two kinds. One is worldly words, and the others are revealed words. Human beings are going to give words based on their own research or investigation and analysis. But there are words that do not come from human beings, and those words are the scripture words, which were revealed to the riches, not originated by the riches. So there is a distinction present here. One is words based on the study of the objective world, and the other words revealed to us by the grace of Ishvara. Thus, we are left only with scriptural words coming through revelation in the Veda, and the Vedanta. Vedic Sabda is also divided into the actions of Vedanta, yeah, and the action section, which is called Vedas. The action section deals with rituals and other mental and verbal activities. So therefore, these kinds of words present in the Veda, they are not, they must be rolled out as a pramana for self-knowledge, okay? Because they are words, they are based on actions, things that you can do to gain something in this world, but they are not going to give you moksha or self-knowledge, because you need the words of the Vedanta or the Upanishads, or the analysis and the commentaries on the final declarations of the Vedas. So we are now left with the words of Vedanta, the words of the Upanishad. Vedanta exclusively deals with the Atma, the self, the I, and it does not turn me to outwards, but turns me inward towards myself. Convex and concave lens will show me objects outside. All of it will turn my attention towards my inner nature. Similarly, the Upanishads are a unique form of mirror. They do not talk about the objective world. They do not even talk about the body and the structure of mind, which are objects of experience, but they talk about me, who is aware of the body, the mind, and the world. They talk about the nature of the Atma. Therefore, for self-inquiry, we have to study the Upanishads. Nothing else will do. And then here, the Swami says, for that we need the help of a teacher. And this is known to us very clearly. And the teacher is going to warn the students that never look for Brahman outside there in an object of experience. Because the tendency of the mind is to project Brahman as an object of experience, such as a profound silence or bliss or a sense of samadhi. Therefore, the teacher will say, never search for Brahman outside, and neither inside in your stomach. The Upanishad have to describe in such a way that we never try to know the Atma. But we will learn to claim that we are the Atma. How you can know Brahman? No? By claiming, I am that Brahman. No? And how are you going to claim it? So you need to develop a certain intellectual conviction of the logic presented by the Upanishads so that you can feel confident to claim it. Otherwise, you feel fake. Then this intellectual conviction is very important. We should never objectify Brahman, says the teacher. Not even in meditation, because Brahman is never an object of realization in meditation as well. The person sitting for realization is Brahman. The person sitting in meditation is Brahman, and is not going to find Brahman by upasana, by meditating on Brahman. But the meditation on the features or the aspects or the nature of Brahman is going to drive the person to the final conclusion, I am that Brahman. Bottom line, Brahman can only be realized as my very self, my very nature. But not that thinking of Brahman or thinking of the words of the Upanishads can produce Brahman. No, it's going to just remove the final doubts in respect to this fact. I am that Brahman. I am that limitless consciousness. So the Upanishads are taught in a very ingenious manner. Different techniques are used. Paradox are used. False attribution and subsequent retraction, projection and retraction. So those are few tools used by the Upanishads. We should not look for Brahman, but we should claim that we are Brahman. Therefore, due to the subtlety, simplicity and subtlety of this inquiry, one should not search for Brahman by oneself. So the self-study will lead to the idea that Brahman is some mysterious, transcendental experience that sooner or later I will realize or experience. That objectification orientation of the student has to be broken, and the guru has to be there to prevent that trap, because the nature of the mind is to project and search. You cannot search something without project it somewhere outside in something other than yourself. So if you say, I am the Brahman, there is no search, and Vedanta is the end of search. But if you tell people, call off the search, because that is a problem. If you tell that prematurely, the person will say, great, like Papaji and Gangaji and others used to say. So this extroversion tendency will remain, and with the help of our gurus, we'll understand that that is the last obstacle. This tendency to objectify Brahman, a guru has to take care of this misconception. One should never say that he has to experience Brahman to believe I am that Brahman. The one who says that is Brahman. Therefore, the Upanishads are a pramana, a means of knowledge when they are studied with the help of a guru. In Mandukya Upanishad, it is said, examining the experience gained by doing actions and by doing upasanas, may the discriminative person discover this passion, moksha, which is not created, cannot be gained or accomplished through any action, physical, verbal, or mental. Therefore, to gain this knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, I have to go to the guru with humility. A guru that has learned Aham Brahmasmi. We have seen it before. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna presents the process, no? Within the relationship between the disciple and the guru. May you gain knowledge by prostration, by service, and proper inquiry in the light of the scripture knowledge with the help of the guru. The wise sages will impart that knowledge to you. So you need to have a help of someone who is not misinterpret these scriptures, which are very simple but very subtle, and a lot of the time appears to be vague and abstract and subject to any kind of interpretation by the mind of the student doing self-study. And here we go. Swami reminds us that there are 3 stages within this process, Vedantic process, Upanishadic process. The first is Shravanam. The second is Mananam. So I'm not going to go into that because next class I want to begin from the text, and this is something that we are very well familiarized with. The nature of the self. I will hear by the guru, from the guru, listening, Shravanam, and then I will do my study, my homework, reflecting, contemplating, and clearing my doubts with the help of the guru. Therefore, Shravana gives knowledge, and Manana gives unshaken knowledge. Shravana is going to give intellectual knowledge, and then Manan, it will give certainty of self-knowledge. And then what is left for Nididhyasana? Well, let's see what the Swami says. After Shravana and Manana, I have got a clear knowledge. Aham Satyam Jagam Mitya. So I'm living from the perspective of I am Satya. The word is Mitya, the binary mode, format. And I am free from the world, and I'm free from the experience of this Jiva Atman. But what happens is my old habit, my old vasanas, my patterns of think will continue giving him, challenging my certainty of self-knowledge. I am that Brahman, but then my old habits, my old vasanas are going to give me some trouble. Any habit will not die very easily, as the proverb says, old habits, old vasanas die hard. So on the conscious level, I have removed my ignorance, but here there is an ignorance in the subconscious level. So I know that Madras now is called Chennai, but for 10 years, my unconscious mind was still referring to Chennai as Madras. Habits are formed gradually and they die gradually. That's very beautifully put. Therefore, that way I look at myself must change because it's talking about me. I have entertained wrong notions and opinions about myself for so long. This is the beginningless ignorance. Our normal opinion is in the form of the triangle format. The triangle format is that I am the miserable, victimized Jiva, living in the world, and the world is the problem giver, the victimizer, and I being so small in the world, I run to Ishwara, run to God to save me. This is Jiva Jagata Ishwara triangular format in the words of Swami Paramarthananda. In this format, I can never come out of samsara. I'm going to experience the religious samsara at the most. As a jiva, I can never come out of karma. This triangular format must give place to the binary format, and that takes some time. I'm not the ordinary suffering jiva. I'm none other than Brahman. The entire world is nothing but namarupas, superimposition in that which is my true nature. I support this apparent reality. I bless this reality, giving it an apparent reality in which the jiva, the apparent jiva atmas can discover their true nature, the satya nature. Aham satyam jagam mitya. Where should I run to get moksha? To run is impossible because I am the all-pervading consciousness, existence. This binary format is present in the 5 capsules of Vedanta. I am of the nature of eternal, all-pervasive consciousness. I'm the only source of peace, security, and happiness. By my mere presence, I give life to the material body. And through the material body, I experience the material universe. I am never affected by any event that happens in the material world or in the material body-mind complex. By forgetting my real nature, I convert life into a burden. By remembering and holding this remembrance at all times, I convert life into a blessing. These 5 capsules should never be forgotten. This new vision should replace my old vision, my old habit. Meditate on these 5 capsules of Vedanta until it's properly, clearly, and firmly established in one's mind. This process is what Nididhyasana is. Is a binary format. I am consciousness, I am the ultimate subject, and everything appearing in the scope of my conscious existence is an object. This is Nididhyasana. And then I begin claiming that I was ever liberated by nature. This is the journey. This knowledge itself is liberation because I was already liberated from the get-go, from the, beginningless times. Yeah, everything is Brahman. Everything is limitless, non-dual consciousness. The goal is to get to this doubtless or doubt-free self-knowledge. Jnana is going to destroy the sadness or the sad, which goes for the destroyer of samsara, nashaka atimayana. This Upanishad is found at the end of the 4 Vedas. And these teachings are always presented in the form of the guru-disciple dialogues. Many such dialogues or discussions have been seen in some of the Upanishads and now are entering into Mandukya Upanishad. And now we are entering into the Mandukya Upanishad, which is the Atmayana discussed in the Atharvana Veda. Good. So we cross through the 2 introductions, and we begin from the first 2 verses. Our next class. I hope you guys enjoy the introduction. There are always some beautiful pearls there from Swami. And we meet again this coming Friday, Ishwara allowing, willing. Anything from you guys? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Thank you. We meet again coming Friday. Much
Thank you.
thank you. Obrigado, Felipe.